Ego, in its most basic psychological sense, is the part of us that constructs the sense of identity. The I that thinks, judges, and perceives. While a healthy ego helps us function and establish boundaries, an inflated ego or a fragile ego can become a silent saboteur, undermining our relationships, growth, and inner peace. In this context, the enemy within refers to the ego when it begins to dominate our thoughts, actions, decisions in harmful ways. Lance Armstrong, the professional cyclist. Armstrong's competitive drive was unmatched, but so was his ego. He constructed an image of invincibility and became hostile to anyone who questioned him. His ego not only fueled years of denial about doping, but also led him to attack whistleblowers. When the truth came out, his fall was even harder. Ego, it craves applause. It fears the fall. It builds a throne, then guards the wall. It scorns the voice that dares to teach, yet trembles when the soul would reach. To understand your ego that dominantly works inside you, you need to watch this video. Stay tuned. Diana Blake, an American author, she says, big egos are big shields for lots of empty space. People with inflated ego often project confidence, superiority, and control. But deep down, that ego is actually a shield, not a reflection of true self-worth. The big ego is used to cover up inner insecurity, fear, or lack of genuine self-identity, the empty space with it. Now, how it operates inside you then? Your ego rejects criticism, seeing it as a threat rather than a tool for improvement. The ego is the part of us that wants to feel secure, important, and right. It creates a self-image, how you want to be seen by others and by yourself. So, when criticism comes in, especially when it is unexpected and uncomfortable, ego interprets it as an attack on that self-image. Instead of hearing, here is something you can do better, the ego hears, you are not good enough. Your ego fears vulnerability as it wants to appear strong and invincible. The ego is deeply concerned with image, how we look, how we are perceived, how we maintain control. Vulnerability, on the other hand, is about openness, honesty, and emotional exposure. It involves admitting that we don't have all the answers, that we are hurt, uncertain, or even afraid. To the ego, that kind of openness feels like weakness. It says, if I show my pain, they will think less of me. If I admit I'm struggling, I will lose respect. If I let them in, I will lose control. Your ego craves validation, needing constant reinforcement to feel worthy. At its core, the ego is driven by a fragile sense of identity. It measures worth based on external approval, likes, praise, titles, attention, or success. The more validation it receives, the more real and valuable it feels. But that creates dependency. The ego doesn't feel secure on its own. It constantly asks, do they approve of me? Am I good enough in their eyes? Was that impressive enough? And so forth. Your ego distorts reality, creating narrative to protect pride. The ego is highly invested in maintaining a certain self-image, usually one where that's right, good, successful, and in control, when reality threatens that image through failure, criticism, rejections, or even self-awareness, the ego bends the truth to avoid discomfort. Instead of accepting, I made a mistake, the ego says, it wasn't my fault. Instead of facing, I don't know, the ego says, they're just wrong. Your ego blocks learning as it assumes I already know. The ego wants to appear competent, smart, and in control. It doesn't like to admit gaps in knowledge because that feels like weakness or inferiority. So instead of staying open and curious, the ego often defaults to, I already know this. This mindset shuts the door on growth. When you believe you already know, you stop listening. You tune out new ideas, miss fresh perspectives, and resist feedback. Learning becomes impossible because you have already decided there's nothing more to learn. But true intelligence isn't about having all the answers. It's about staying teachable. When we let go of ego, we return the mindset of a beginner, open, curious, and humble. That is where real learning begins. That is where growth happens. Don't miss the next episode on Ego, The Enemy Within, Part 3. Hope to see you there. Good day.